Hello, welcome to Popalong RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing. And as you can see from the intro, we have been back over to the Stopfold Model Car Club. And this time I went not only with the Cougar, but I went out with the DT-04 NXGEN fighter. Hopefully you've seen the previous videos of this where I have done a few little changes to make it just aesthetically a little bit more pleasing to my eye, because I like the Lexan design. However, I still have got the hard plastic shell, which I can put back on it at any time. It's very quick and easy to do. The idea this weekend though was Mark and I were going to take out the DT-04, which I have here, and his Sand Viper on the DT-02 chassis, and we were going to test them out around the Stopfold track. The thing is with these cars, I'm running, I believe this has got a torque tuned motor in, whereas Mark is running a Core 21 motor, so they're even-ish when it comes to top end speed and gearing. And in terms of on the track performance, they're pretty much running the same tyres, and the geometry is very, very similar. So therefore, they are due to perform quite similarly on the track. And that's exactly what we found. I found actually when I was running this car up against Mark, I was pretty much sticking with him. I think the DT-04 possibly had a little bit more through some sections of the track. And part of that might go down to the servo that I've got fitted. But all in all, super fun running the DT-04 on the track. Now, here's the thing, okay? Obviously, we had a lot of fun just messing around, but I do believe there is something in this platform for sort of beginner racers. My son currently is running the RB10, which is a ready to run, and I do think actually if I got him across onto this DT platform, potentially there is something in it for beginners coming into the hobby. Because as much as I like to say the RC world is fully inclusive, the sort of step up into sort of buggy racing in the UK at present, the standard is so high at the clubs. I consider myself to be an alright driver. I'm not too shabby, I'm not too bad, but I'm struggling to get out of the bottom final. And therefore, if we want to bring a younger generation and some newbies into the hobby, I think a class like this would work very well. I know previously when we were doing our Popalong GP, mill end, I think this car would go round very nicely at mill end. Obviously when we run the Gatwick GP a couple of years ago, the DT-02, DT-03 class was a regular class at the club, and saw all the beginners kind of getting into that entry level class. Again, some of the more seasoned drivers might have changed a few things on the car to make them perform a little bit better, but ultimately it's a very cost effective entry level class running the DT-04. And if your club is struggling for numbers, potentially this might be something to open up to getting more newcomers into the hobby. For the clubs around here where we're running with the buggies, they're not really short of drivers at the moment, and numbers are pretty high, so they probably don't need to be introducing a class like this. However, I do think there is something in it for growing the hobby more widely. What are your thoughts? What is the best way to get newbies into the hobby? Is it running cars like this, or should we get them straight in with pro buggies? It is a debate I've heard before. Obviously, I've done videos in the past. Do you buy a second-hand pro buggy, or do you get yourself a cheaper ready-to-run / entry-level buggy? And the debate is out on that one. I think the idea with this car as well, it can be used just messing around in the street. I don't think you're going to be overly sensitive to it. I mean, it's a plastic chassis. The parts to replace are reasonably cheap, and it's good fun. I do like just having a laugh with me and my son running these cars. Tell me what you think though. What is the future? How are we going to get more youngsters into the hobby? Is it running something like this? Possibly. It's a more cost-effective way of getting people in. Ultimately, if they're going to go on to buy pro buggies later down the line, you could argue that why waste money on this if they're going to go pro, but I don't know what, not everyone is. Some people might like this. I see this actually, if we think about the fun that Mark and I have running our TT-01s and our Tamiya Minis at the Iconic Cup and how popular that is, I do see this DT-04 platform as being sort of an entry fun racing class, whereas sort of the pro buggies is like the pro touring cars. Saying that though, the vintage scene at the moment in the UK might be the way in, because it is a slightly slower platform and gaining popularity week after week. Anyway, that's enough waffling for now. Hopefully you like this short video about the Tamiya DT-04, DT-02 platform, and obviously there is a DT-03 in the middle there as well that you can still get hold of. Like, subscribe, hit the old ding dong bell, and hopefully we'll see you trackside soon.